the panel sessions talking about product delivery and services that's required in the media industry. So I'm very pleased to be joined here now by Shailendra. Did I say it right now
correct.
as well?
Yes.
See? So Shailendra, you are the VP of Architecture and Technology at Avid Technology.
Correct.
Yes, sounds like a very interesting title for sure.
It's always fun.
It's always fun.
Guaranteed to be fun.
This is why I joined the tech industry, because you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's exciting. But you have a long span in the industry. I'm not going to say how long. We'll keep that a secret.
You can see the white beard
yeah, exactly.
and the no hair. That's where it went.
Keep on seeing it. But you've been focusing on engineering management, but you have a really strong track record in sort of cloud transformations, high performance computing and cybersecurity, amongst other things. And when you joined us during this panel session, during the virtual prelude, you mentioned that one of the current trends in the industry is cloud remote collaboration tools.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this so important in this industry?
Well, so there are two parts to this. One is actually the remote collaboration tools.
Okay.
And then there's the cloud adoption.
Okay.
And then there's a combination of the two.
Okay.
Right? During COVID times, everybody was producing remotely, working from home. So that became pretty natural anyways. But they were doing it on premises, like connecting to their equipment back in the facilities or in their offices. But then for people who could not set up new equipment in the offices, in their facilities, the cloud became a very natural choice, right? So that's part of it. And collaboration, you could be collaborating within your environment, but then we're a distributed environment now, right? Everybody's in different places, different geographies even. So collaboration has become key, and the tools that enable that collaboration have become key. Part of it is just communication, right? But then there's also tools, for example, newsmakers, right? People collaborating, the journalists contributing back what the stories they're covering, and the editors and the producers starting to pick that up. All the way from that situation to, say, the post editors working together on set. Somebody's doing something, need to capture it, create the bins and project before somebody can start working. Before, a lot of people had to travel together, be on the same location, do stuff. Wow, now that 2-hour drive becomes a big part of it too. So just staying where they are, but being able to collaborate has become a big part. And some of the cloud, there's cloud as some place where we can host these collaboration technologies. And then there's a cloud way of doing things, which is architectures that are built for the cloud, but that are also helpful for on-premises. So all of these technologies literally, started evolving over the last it's been around for a while, but really took on a new impetus over the last 2 years. Right. So that's one of the biggest reasons. But why the cloud? It's the agility and the speed, right? Now imagine you have to set up a new production somewhere. What do you need to do? Build a facility or build out rooms, buy equipment. Here we're talking about on demand, right? You just basically, it's not exactly the easy button, but very similar to that. You push button and there's a lot of automation that just sets up your virtual environment. So for Avid, for example, we've done editorial on demand, which basically means you can actually have a storage and editing seats come up for you, and the editors are ready to start using that. And some of the scripts actually run within 1.5 hours. Everything is set up. Right? So that's an example of the agility that you get. Right? So those are some of the examples of why collaboration tools, remote distances, enabling those, plus this type of agility that you get out of the cloud.
And I think a lot of these trends and new technologies that we're seeing over right now has almost been forced by the pandemic, which I don't think is a bad thing, right? It's pushed us to become more efficient and more agile.
Exactly.
But do you feel that it's put some pressures on the industry as well in terms of moving too quickly?
Well, I believe it's nothing such as too quickly, because a lot of these trends were there even before, right? People, the cost pressures,
Yeah.
and the whole pressure to work remotely, these were all there before. So
Yeah.
there's just been an acceleration, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what. So I don't consider that bad.
Yeah.
That's actually good. Yes, there are cost pressures that have increased
course.
right now, and
Yeah.
during COVID times, unfortunately, a lot of companies had to really come down in their
Yeah.
cost. The cost efficiency, fortunately, a lot of the economy is recovering right now, but that
Yeah.
mindset is not going away.
Yeah.
What we gained then is going to continue for sure.
Well, there's other things impacting cost nowadays as well, like resources, materials, like there's a lot of things affecting the
Correct.
cost in many different ways.
Yes.
But when we talk about the cloud,
Mhm.
if we talk about that, there must be some potential hindrances, or how do I say, maybe problems with security. That's another thing you talk a bit about, right?
Yes, that's right. It's different. The security before, there was a time when security just meant close the doors, put the guards out, the cameras, nobody allowed,
Yeah.
nobody can come in, and that's a
Yeah.
protected environment. My content is protected. Uh, of course, as soon as you're working remotely, you got to protect the content where you are. Right?
Yeah.
So again, and a case for innovation, right there, where if you're working remotely, how do you contribute? If you're acquiring content, how do you make sure that it's in a secure environment?
Yeah.
The protocols that you're using to transfer, that's secure. On the other hand, who's connecting? Who is
Yeah.
this person who's connecting from the outside?
Yeah.
They haven't passed a bad check or anything like that. So authentication, single sign-on, multi-factor authorization, these are all, again, they were there before. They just got accelerated
Yes.
right now. So lots of innovations on the security front are happening. So on the Avid side, for example, we're doing a lot of work. Basically, there's a concept of security by design. Right?
Yeah.
You can add security, which is the network security part, but then when you're devising new products, and especially as we're looking at some of the cloud-based workflows, there's an opportunity to rethink how we're actually approaching the whole
Yeah.
design of the products, make it much more cloud native. And there's one other thing, some of the best security is offered by the cloud vendors. The cloud they have big security teams
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
taking care of that centralized infrastructure. They have modern tactics. This is imagine having to do this at every single facility, right? To
Yeah.
put the same thing. So we're also benefiting collectively
Yeah.
from the expertise of the cloud vendors.
Yeah.
So there's a concept called basically it's a shared model now, right? It's a shared security model. It's not just the customer, but it's shared with vendors like us.
Yeah.
We become responsible for certain things,
Yeah.
and the cloud providers
Yeah.
become responsible. So think of it as uh, us helping our end customers
Yeah.
with the expertise they may or may not have.
Because I think that's another thing you mentioned during the panel session, that according to workflows now, you might have several vendors, several elements around the cloud and, all the workflows. And you need to consider how they work together, not as
Correct.
individuals, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
is that a thing that you specialize at Avid, to sort of look at that whole protocol?
We do. So there's always been a need for interoperability and open
Yeah.
standards, right? And that has just become even more prevalent now. Things like we decided to go with a streaming protocol called SRT. Right?
Yeah.
It's an open source
Yeah.
standard. Multiple people are developing towards it, and it's secure. Right?
Yeah.
That's its main benefit over there. So making sure that when we're talking SRT, somebody else is talking the same way.
Yeah.
Same thing with some security paradigms, which allows like OpenID Connect. Some of these OAuth 2. These are all names of standards. As long as we're all adopting the same thing, we know how people are authenticating against each other. Who is it? We can pass tokens, and other people
Yes.
actually say, we know what this is. So
Yeah.
that interoperability is now being driven. So
Yeah.
that's one way we're conforming with each other's work, other partners, how they work with us.
Yeah.
So those paradigms are really getting solidified right now.
And that's something that's come across in my conversations a lot over the last couple of days as well. Integrations, that actually we become a bit more collaborative.
Yes.
Because, we can all help each other out. But if we can then integrate and work with each other, we can create stronger and more secure systems and offerings to the clients, I guess, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, apart from some of the common standards, that's why some of the APIs come in, where we're all offering each other methods of connecting to us, right? But those APIs need to have security built in, authentication. This whole concept of zero trust is coming in, right? Where we're saying that just don't trust anybody. We love our people, but just don't trust them, right? Because you've got to make sure that every single person is authenticated. Every device that's actually an application that's calling us is authenticated. The connection is secure. So that's a new paradigm, basically. A new, well, actually, it's been around. So zero trust has been a principle, but now part of this whole security by design means that we're starting to adopt it in a lot of our products too.
No, that makes sense. So, what else should we look out for? We've talked obviously about a couple of things. Is there anything else you think is, a trend we should all be aware of, look out for? Or what are you guys at Avid working on at the moment?
A few things. So, like I said, cloud is an infrastructure play. Collaboration is key. So part of one of the things that we're showing is newsroom collaboration. Right? So some under our Media Central brand of products used by broadcasters, but other verticals as well. The newsroom collaborate is an important evolution towards story-centric workflows, going more towards digital type of workflows. Again, an example of collaboration, right? Field journalists using web browser-based methods to upload, start putting stories together, publish digitally, as well as send to playback. That's one of the innovations that we're showing right now, and this is all cloud ready. But then also, I mentioned editing in the cloud. Our editorial on demand product, one aspect of it is the fact that all the I mentioned the automation, but the business models what that it represents. The editorial on demand is a SaaS product. That means the customer, all they need to worry about is the infrastructure needs that they have, but we provide the cloud-based infrastructure. But another innovation around there is that there are other business models to support, because some of the very large customers have their own cloud infrastructure. So that, what do you do then? It's the same type of environment, but rather than using our infrastructure, they would use our scripts to deploy into their environment. So that becomes what we call a bring your own cloud type of a model, right? But it's the same technology stack. And then there's even a middle tier, which is sort of the managed services, right, where the cloud may be theirs, but our management, it's almost like SaaS, but that where we're taking care of things, but it's a managed SaaS. So that's actually a business model innovation that we're actually showing. And a couple of other things, like we talk about cloud, but on premises, as I said, people are working remotely. So part of what we're showing is, and we'll continue evolving this, is something called Nexus Edge, where it's a shared storage-based collaboration for post, but the editors can be remote. But more importantly, it's an editorial environment for multiple roles to collaborate. So it's not just editors working remotely, producers, loggers, other folks actually reviewing material. These are all processes that are happening through the browser-based panel. So that's another. And lastly, I'll mention one of the other collaboration is in a picture and post. Picture and sound, which basically means in the post industry, our products, Pro Tools, Media Composer working together. That's collaboration as well, right? We're just showing a lot more interoperability between those products. So that's what we're showing, and you'll see us innovating on that front going forward on the cloud technologies. You'll see us innovating going forward. We're also showing on the Microsoft booth an integration, the Microsoft Teams, as to replace over the shoulder, as we call it. Here we are, in the same environment. If I needed to see what you're doing, I'm looking over your shoulder and directing you and saying, but it's all verbal communication. What happens when you're remote? You pick up the phone, but you're not in that environment. So Teams allows you to connect, see the video that's being streamed out, and comment on it and log all of that information. So these are all innovations we're showing today.
Well, it all comes down to one key word here, which is collaboration, right?
Collaboration. Did I say collaboration enough times?
Collaboration. In case anyone missed it, it's about collaboration.
Yes.
But I think that it's because we talk about it both actually from a user front as well, right? Because we want them to be felt collaborative, that they have a way, an input, they're engaged, and you're talking about innovation of how do we make that happen before it then gets to the user as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a key word. And I'm very grateful that you came on here today to tell us about collaboration. And I look forward to hearing about what you and Avid will come up with in the future. Thank you so much for joining.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I hope all of you at home haven't forgot the word collaboration. Let's put it in as a lower third one last time if you haven't forgotten about it. Thank you so much for joining us here. We will be back very shortly for 1 or 2 last interviews, I believe it is, until you get rid of me for this time. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. No, that was great.